بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. How are you doing? Alhamdulillah, that's good. Alhamdulillah. All praise and thanks belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord, creator and sustainer of the heavens and the earth. Peace and salutations upon the most beloved of Allah's creation, that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon his family members, upon his companions, and upon all of those who follow his blessed way of life until the end of times. May Allah make me and you from those who follow his way of life until the end of times. Ameen. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, the article here, right?
Yeah.
If you want, inshallah, you can open the curtain and the kitties can, you know sometimes. Khair, inshallah. We praise and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being in the house of Allah tonight. Alhamdulillah. Such a great ni'mah. Something that people will think, wow, what's so great about that? But if we had to ponder about all the rewards and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of being in Allah's house, subhanallah, we won't be able to comprehend all these rewards. Praying our salah in congregation, praying our next salah in congregation, spending i'tikaf, learning the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of these different practices. And last week, what hadith did we discuss last week? The hadith of the intention. Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu said that إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, all actions are judged in accordance with the intentions of those actions. So you will be rewarded, inshallah, if your intention is salih. You came to the house of Allah to pray your salah, to meet your Muslim brothers, to learn the deen of Allah, to make i'tikaf. All of these, to speak to your Muslim brother, to greet your Muslim brother, all of these rewards will be gathered for you with the correct intention. So this was the very first hadith that we discussed in the collection of Ahadith by Imam Nawawi rahimahullah. I don't know if Maulana went through the life of Imam Nawawi and he discussed the biography of Imam Nawawi. I don't know. But we don't have time for that, inshallah. Maybe in the future, if I come back, inshallah, hopefully, we can discuss that. But tonight, inshallah, we discuss hadith number 2. Now, hadith number 2, the first hadith, the hadith of Umar bin al-Khattab, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, actions are judged in accordance with the intention. That's the very first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. The very first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari is what hadith? The hadith of the intention. The very first hadith in Sahih Muslim, the second most authentic book of hadith after the Quran, is this hadith that we will be doing tonight. So now you can imagine the weight of these ahadith. These are super important ahadith. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, the author of these 40 ahadith, it's called 40 ahadith, but there's actually 42 ahadith. So is it right if I say 40 ahadith, but there's 42 ahadith? In the booklet that we're discussing, if you can download it online, just type in 40 ahadith Nawawi, you'll get the PDF, and you'll get explanations and everything. There are 42 ahadith in the book, but Imam Nawawi rahimahullah calls it the Arba'in, the 40 ahadith. So what's the wisdom behind that? Who can tell me? The Arabs have a custom, if it's 42, 43, if it's close to 40, they round it off to 40. So instead of saying 42 ahadith, they just say the 40 ahadith. It's easier, So that's one fa'idah, one benefit, inshallah. So this is the second hadith. The hadith that we discussed last week was Sheikh Gabriel's. The first hadith, indeed, actions are judged in accordance with the intentions of those actions. The first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. This hadith, also narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Second hadith, first hadith in Sahih Muslim. Does everyone have that, inshallah? There's going to be lots of facts that I will throw at you. Because it's a class, you have to benefit. So the narrator of this hadith, who narrates this hadith? Whenever we discuss hadith, there are two aspects to the hadith. There's the chain, how the hadith came to us, the people that gave us the hadith, and there's the wording of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now we will go through the chain. I won't mention the entire chain, I will mention the last person. The person who heard it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. His biography. Umar bin al-Khattab, he was the son of al-Khattab, the son of Nufail, the son of Abdul Uzza, the son of Riyah, the son of Abdullah, the son of Qurt, the son of Zarah, the son of Adi, the son of Ka'ab, the son of Lu'ay. What's the benefit of knowing that? You just heard me quoting half the lineage of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. But is there any benefit to that? Yes or no? What do you think? No benefit, right? We don't need to know that. The reason why I quoted you all those names, it is to show to you where the lineage of Umar radiallahu anhu, where the lineage of Rasulullah meets. And that is by Ka'ab bin Lu'ay. Ka'ab bin Lu'ay is the great grandfather of both Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Umar bin al-Khattab. Why? Because Umar was from the Quraysh and the Prophet was from the Quraysh. The Quraysh was the main tribe. Both of them came from different sub-tribes, Banu Adi and Banu Hashim. Is that clear, inshallah? So the lineage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Umar bin al-Khattab is one. They joined at Ka'ab bin Lu'ay. Is that clear, inshallah? So that's one fa'idah. Number two, when was he born? He was born 13 years after the incident of the elephant. Everyone knows what is the incident of the elephant? Allah in the Quran speaks about it. Allah addresses Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Allah says, Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil? Oh Muhammad, what do you think? How Allah dealt with the people that attempted to overthrow the Kaaba with the elephants that they brought? Abraha, the king, the ruler of Yemen, Abyssinian. Allah then says, Allah destroyed Abraha by birds that had in their beaks and in their claws, they had small stones and they threw it upon these people, and Allah destroyed these people. So Umar bin al-Khattab was born 13 years after that incident. When, what date? We want to know the date, is it not so? We want to know, is it the 13th of January, the 15th? When I can clearly say I was born on the 17th of August 1989. Umar radiallahu anhu cannot say that, or couldn't say that. Why not? Because remember, before the Muslims made hijrah, or even after the Muslims made hijrah, the Muslims never had a calendar. Arabs generally didn't have calendars. So what they did was, they would attribute any happening to a major event. So the major event, when was the Prophet born? He was born the year of the elephant. When did this person die? This person died 2 years before the event of the elephant. When was that person born? 13 years after the incident of the elephant. Because the Arabs, unlike the Romans and the Persians, did not have a calendar. The calendar came in the 16th or the 18th year after the death of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's when Umar bin al-Khattab brought a calendar for the benefit of the Muslims. Because many things were happening and they wanted to record events, and that's why they put down a calendar. So is that clear? So what specific date was Umar born? We don't know. But we know that he was born 13 years after the happening of the elephant. What was his nickname? Some of his nicknames. He was known as Abu Hafs, the father of Hafs. So what does that mean, Abu Hafs? Abu Hafs means the father of Hafsa. Hafsa. Arabs, when they want to nickname someone, they won't say he is Abu Aisha, they would say he is Abu Aish. Not Abu Maymuna, Abu Maymun. So similarly, he was the father of Hafsa, so he was nicknamed after his eldest daughter Hafsa. And that's why he was called the father of Hafsa, Abu Hafs. Is that clear? Everyone with me, inshallah? No one's falling asleep here. Khair. Some of his other nicknames, some of his other titles. He was known as Al-Faruq, the one that separated between the haqq and the batil. He was Alladhi yufarriq bayna al-haqq wal-batil, the one who separated between the truth and the falsehood. And this is a name that he got after embracing Islam, Al-Faruq. When did he become Muslim? He became Muslim 6 years after the Prophet ﷺ became a prophet. So for those first 6 years when the Prophet was a prophet, he was not a Muslim. He opposed the Muslims. And after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him hidayah, Allah gave him guidance, and he became a Muslim. And he became an asset, subhanallah, for the believers, for the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ made dua, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma, oh Allah, a'izz al-Islam bi ahabbi al-rajulayn ilayk. Oh Allah, grant izzah to Islam by one of the two men that is most beloved to you. Who were those two men? Amr bin Hisham, Abu Jahl, the famous Abu Jahl, or the infamous Abu Jahl, and Umar bin al-Khattab. These were the arch enemies of Islam. Oh Allah, guide, honor Islam, uplift Islam through the two of them who are most beloved to you, Ya Allah. And Allah guided the heart of Umar bin al-Khattab to Islam. How did he become Muslim? There's a very, very famous story that says one day, Umar bin al-Khattab was walking on his way to kill the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He met a companion by the name of Nu'aym bin Abdullah. And Nu'aym bin Abdullah informed him that I became Muslim, and he wanted to take it, he unsheathed his sword. He wanted to take out his sword to kill him. Nu'aym bin Abdullah told him, look here, you want to kill me? Why don't you sit affairs straight in your own house? Why don't you go clear out your own house? You've got problems in your house, but you worry about me. What then happened was, he said, oh Nu'aym, what are you speaking about? He said, your brother-in-law and your sister became Muslim. What then happened was, he went there, he beat up his brother, he beat up his sister. When he saw the blood flowing from his sister, he was like shocked. Because remember, the Arabs had their negatives, but they had lots of good qualities as well. They had the quality of izzatun nafs, of confidence. They had the quality of calm, nobility. They had the quality of respect. They had many qualities. And one of those qualities were that they will never bring harm to their family members. And he beat up his sister. Why? Because she embraced Islam. What then happened was, it brought him to his senses. He said to her, what were you reading before I came in? She gave him the few pages or whatever they wrote on Surah Taha. When he read the opening verse of Surah Taha, this affected him. She told him to go take a bath. And then after this, he went to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, take me to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When they took him to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Prophet Sallallahu waited for him. When he came in, the Prophet took him by his collar. And the Prophet said, oh Umar, until when will this continue? When will you stop with this? Your ways, your opposing Islam, not wanting to submit to the truth. When? And Umar bin al-Khattab then said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu annaka Rasulullah. I believe that Allah is none, there is none worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So this story sounds beautiful, right? But it's weak. This story is not authentic. This is not the reason why Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu became Muslim. There is another authentic narration that says the Umar bin al-Khattab already had the desire to become Muslim. So what he would do is he would go to the haram and he would hear the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam reciting. And one night when he went, the Prophet was reciting Surah Al-Haqqah. And he would think to himself, perhaps this person is a poet. And then the Prophet would read verses of the Quran where Allah says, and this is not the word of a poet. And then he would say, perhaps this is a sahir, this is a magician, a person that is bisakas with magic. And then the verses on Surah Al-Haqqah, the Prophet would read, this is not the word of this is not the doings of a magician. And so forth. And this affected him. He was thinking these things, and by coincidence or by the qadr of Allah, the Prophet would read verses like that. And this is what led him eventually to Al-Islam. So the first story that I mentioned is not authentic. The second story is the authentic version. May Allah grant us understanding. So Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu was a very great man. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, famous companion, he says, مَا زِلْنَا عِزَّةً مُنْذ أَسْلَمَ عُمَرْ بِنْ الْخَطَّابِ. He says, we gained izzah from Allah, respect and honor. The Muslims were strong and powerful since Umar became Muslim radiallahu ta'ala. So when Umar became Muslim, the Muslims, Islam, the future looked great for the Muslims. The Sahaba used to say, كَانَ إِسْلَامُهُ عِزًّا. Him embracing Islam was a means of honor for us. وَهِجْرَتُهُ نَصْرًا. Him making hijrah was a means of victory for the Muslims. وَإِمَارَتُهُ. And him being our leader, rahmatan, was a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a leader par excellence for the Muslims after the death of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Umar bin al-Khattab is known to have many, many miracles. One of those miracles being, I have to cut it short inshallah. One of those miracles being, one day Umar bin al-Khattab was giving a lecture. And in another part of the world, the Muslims were being attacked by the enemies. And Umar bin al-Khattab on the minbar of Masjid Nawawi, the leader of the army's name was Sariya. And he shouted, he was standing on the minbar and they were far away. And he said, Ya Sariya al-Jabal al-Jabal. Oh Sariya, the mountain, the mountain. Take precaution, go through the mountain, whatever the case may be, because the enemy will attack you. And that call reached Sariya, the leader of the army, and through that call of Umar and saving the Muslims were successful in that battle. That was one of the miracles of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Umar bin al-Khattab, later in his leadership of the Muslims, he sent Amr bin al-As, who eventually conquered Egypt. Egypt today is basically 90% or 80% Muslim. It became Muslim in the time of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, because generally the Muslims, the people over there were either Coptics or they were pagans. They worship idols and stuff like that. Or they were Coptic Christians. When he sent Amr bin al-As came in Egypt and he found that the people had a bad tradition. Whenever the Nile river would stop flowing, they would sacrifice a virgin by throwing her and she would drown. And then the river would continue flowing. When Umar bin al-Khattab and the Muslims conquered Egypt, they had to bring this to an end because this is an un-Islamic practice. Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu sends a letter to Umar and explains him the situation. Umar bin al-Khattab writes in the letter, he says, O Nile river, that if you flow according to your own accord, then don't flow. But if you flow in accordance with the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then me, Umar bin al-Khattab, the leader of the Muslims, command you to flow. And he tells Amr bin al-As that take this letter and throw it in the Nile. And Amr bin al-As takes the letter and throws it in the Nile, and the Nile continues to flow until this day, subhanAllah. So these are some of the miracles of Umar bin al-Khattab. Umar bin al-Khattab was such a great companion of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that many a times his opinions, the ayat of Quran, would make muwafaqa, would be the exact same as his opinions. Umar bin al-Khattab at the Battle of Badr, he told the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Messenger asked the Sahaba, what do we do with the enemies? Umar bin al-Khattab said, kill them. Abu Bakr said, no, keep them, whatever, we can take some ransom for them. Umar bin al-Khattab said, no, kill them. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam took the view of Abu Bakr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not take the view of Umar. Then the ayat came down, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it is not befitting for a prophet to take prisoners حتى يثخن في الأرض, until he has fought the disbelievers to the best of his extent. And now when you can't fight and you have some prisoners, then take them as prisoners. When the ayat came down, it conformed with the opinion of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wanted to make salatul janazah on the hypocrites of Medina. Umar bin al-Khattab said, "Atusalli alayhim ya Rasulullah, will you pray salatul janazah upon them?" They are people that receive the anger of Allah. Don't make salatul janazah upon them. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continued and said, I will pray salatul janazah on them. The ayah of the Quran came down. Allah says, in tastaghfir lahum, if you pray upon them, Allah says, la tusalli alayhi abada, do never ever ever pray upon these people salatul janazah. That opinion of Umar in the ayah of Quran conforms, subhanAllah. Amazing. And there's so many other examples. In actual fact, the life of Umar necessitates a separate lecture. The life of Umar and the miracles of Umar and his muwafaqat, those ayat that came as a chorus, that came to approve the opinions of Umar, that needs an entire lecture, subhanAllah. So this is some facts of the life of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Umar bin al-Khattab narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam 539 hadith. So 539 hadith comes from Umar bin al-Khattab. He died in the year 33 of the Hijrah. So from the time the Prophet moved to Medina, 33 years after that. And he died at the age of 63. What is special about 63? Who died at 63? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Bakr and Umar bin al-Khattab died at the age of 63. His dua was always, Allahumma ja'alna, Allahumma ja'al, oh Allah, grant me shahada, martyrdom in your path, Ya Allah. وَجَعَلْ مَوْتِي فِي بَلَدِ رَسُولِكَ. But also I want to die in the city of your Prophet. Now that's a contradictory dua. If I say, oh Allah, I want martyrdom in your path, it means I have to go out where the Muslims are fighting and have to join them in fighting. And then die like that. That is shahad in the path of Allah. But Umar bin al-Khattab said, oh Allah, I want to die as a martyr, but also I want to die in Madinatul Munawwara. What Allah made such, Allah caused his death. He was leading the Sahaba in Fajr Salah. Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi, a fire worshipper that was brought from Persia by Mughira bin Shu'bah, to act as a slave and so forth. He took the opportunity to stab Umar bin al-Khattab to death. And Umar died, number one, as a martyr, and number two, he died in the city of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was in correspondence. Allah granted him his dua. May Allah have mercy upon Umar bin al-Khattab. He says, one day we were sitting, this is the hadith now, we just did the introduction to the hadith. One day we were sitting. What then happened was, he says, إِذْ طَلَعَ عَلَيْنَا رَجُلٌ. A man came to us, a strange man. شَدِيدُ بَيَادِ ثِيَابٍ. His clothes were extremely white. Why would he mention this? His clothes, extremely white. Why? What's the relevance of that? Why would he make specific mention of that? Because if you live in the desert, even in 7th century Arabia, where there's no air cons, there's no buildings, there is no shade, you're living in a hot desert. You are sweaty and everything is dusty around you. But he says, I saw this man coming to us with extremely white clothing. Shadid sawad sha'r. Extremely jet black hair. Black beard and black hair. No one knew him. He says, Umar radiallahu anhu says, no one from amongst us knew this person. لا يعرف منا أحد. No one knew from among the Sahaba no one knew him. He did not say the man was not known. He said no one of us knew him, meaning the Prophet knew him. We did not know who he is. This is a strange man. He comes in the masjid. He comes from one corner of the masjid. We don't know where he came from. We didn't see him entering the masjid. We just see this man coming, a man, and he sits next to the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He sits, he places his knees against the knees of the Prophet. Not in front of the Prophet, next to, sitting next to the side of the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then he places his hands on his thighs. And there's different, interpretations. Some say he places hands on his thighs. Others state it meant he places hands on the thighs of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He placed his hands down. And then he says, Ya Muhammad, O Muhammad, listen to this. Subhanallah, look how he dresses. The Sahaba were amazed at the way. Remember, this is one hadith. But this hadith, there's a lot of other narrations. So when I'm giving explanation, I'm drawing from those narrations. Because the hadith works like this. If you find one hadith, you don't look at that hadith. You look at all the hadith on the topic, it gives you a holistic picture what happened. If you only look at one hadith, you don't get the picture. So this person addresses the messenger, Ya Muhammad, O Muhammad. He makes a mistake. He said, not so. What should he have said? Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi, Ya Nabi Allah, O Prophet of Allah. Like, who's this guy? He comes out of nowhere. So, Ya Muhammad. Allah in the Quran, what does Allah state in the Quran? Allah says, لا تجعلوا دعاء الرسول كدعاء بعضكم بعضا. When you call on the Prophet, don't call like you call what? Oh Faisal, Imam. You don't call the Prophet like that. You call the Prophet by his title that Allah gave him. That is Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi Allah. Prophet, titles of honor. Not Ya Muhammad. Muhammad is not your friend. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Allah says this in the Quran. But this man comes out of nowhere, Ya Muhammad. Scholars explain there are various reasons. It could have been, he could have addressed the Prophet like that before this ayah came down, where Allah prohibits us from addressing the Prophet like that. It could also mean that he intentionally addressed the Prophet like that so that the Sahaba don't pick up who he is. Because I take it most of you know who this person is. Do you know who this person is? Most of you heard this hadith before. And also it could mean that this verse is not applicable to angels, it's only applicable to human beings. We are human beings, the Quran has been sent to us as guidance, not to the angels. So this verse, in essence, doesn't apply to him. So he says, Ya Muhammad, O Muhammad. He says, Akhbirni an Islam. Tell me what is Islam. Now what does Islam mean? Islam means submission to Allah. Willful submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Something comes to you of Islam, you submit. That is the meaning of Islam. Is Islam to submit? But when we speak and refer to Islam, we speak more of the technical aspects of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ then says, Islam is an tashhad, that you bear testimony that no one is worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the main aspect of Islam. Your tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you bear witness that no one is worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa anna Muhammadan, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's number one. Wa tuqim as-salah, and that you establish the prayer, the salah. What is the meaning of salah? What does the word salah mean? Linguistically, originally the word salah meant dua. But the technical meaning, the religious meaning, is the meaning that me and you use. Salah is a certain amount of statements and a certain amount of actions that starts with Allahu Akbar and ends with Assalamu Alaikum. That is salah in a nutshell. So that is salah. So it is that you establish salah. What does establishing salah mean? Performing salah as the Prophet taught me and you to perform salah. Doing all the arkan, the pillars of prayer. Fulfilling all the conditions of prayer. Doing all the mustahabbat, the recommended practice of prayer. Doing all the mukmilat, those things that are of a lesser category. Those things that complement prayer. Like, standing straight in the saf, and all of those things. And staying away from all those things that are disliked in prayer. Doing all those things, that is iqamat salah. That is establishing prayer. That is the second pillar of Islam. Number 3, وَتُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةِ, that you pay the zakah. What is zakah? Linguistically, zakah means that which increases, that which is purified. Why? Because if you pay your zakah, what happens? Your wealth becomes purified. Your wealth in barakah increases. But zakah technically in the religious sense, when me and you speak about zakah, what do we mean? Zakah means a specific type of wealth. So cash, camels, cows, all of the plants and all of these things. You take from it a specific amount. You give it to specific types of people, poor people, people that are in debt, people that are studying, people that are in jihad. At the end of a hawl, at the end of a lunar year. That is what zakat, and that's a detailed lecture as well. That's the third pillar of Islam, zakat. Number 4, the fourth pillar of Islam is what? It is وَأَن تَصُومَ رَمَضَانَ, that you fast in the month of Ramadan. What is fasting linguistically? Fasting linguistically means to stay away from everything, from anything. So if I stay away from my phone, I'm fasting from my phone. If I'm staying away from speaking, I'm practicing fasting from speaking. I'm making sawm from speaking. And that's why Maryam, she did not want to speak to the Jews. So what she said was, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. I'm making a vow to Allah that I will make sawm. What type of sawm? Not the sawm that me and you do. The sawm of the stomach and the sawm of the private area. No, the sawm of not speaking to anyone. So sawm originally meant to stay away from anything. But when me and you speak about sawm, what do we mean? To stay away from dawn until sunset, eating, drinking, smoking, and sexual relations with your wife. That is sawm in a nutshell. That's the fourth pillar of Islam. And number 5, وَأَن تَحُجَّ الْبَيْتِ إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. The pillar number 5 is that you perform the Hajj. What does the word Hajj mean? Originally the word Hajj meant to intend to go somewhere. The religious meaning, the meaning that me and you use when we speak about Hajj, means to intend to go to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to perform certain deeds for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is Hajj. To do this act, if you are able to do so. إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. If you've got the money, the provisions to do so, they do so. And the physical ability, they do so. And similar in the case of a female, which has got a mahram. That is what Islam is. That you bear testimony with your tongue that no one is worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. That you pray the salah, that you establish the salah, that you pay your zakah, that you fast in the month of Ramadan, and that you perform the Hajj. This person, when he heard this, he said, Sadaqta, you have spoken the truth. You have spoken the truth. Umar bin al-Khattab says, فَعَجِبْنَا, we were amazed. Like some, this is strange. يَسْأَلُهُ وَيُصَدِّقُهُ. He is asking the question, but then he says to the messenger, you have spoken the truth. If you come to me and you ask me a question, Shaykh Maulana, this happens normally if I do this, what is the ruling? And I say, you do it like that. And then you tell me, you are correct. What will I think? No, this guy's testing me. He knows the answer, but he's asking me. You get what I'm saying? So the Sahaba said, فَعَجِبْنَا, we were amazed. This person is asking a question, but when the Prophet gave the response, what did he say? You صدقه. He said, you are speaking the truth. He then went on to the next question. He said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِيمَانِ. So we covered Islam. What is Islam? The 5 pillars of Islam. That's part. Tell me, what is Iman? Now, Iman is commonly translated as belief, tasdeeq, mere belief. Belief. But according to the Ahlul Sunnah, according to traditional Sunni Muslims, we are all Sunni Muslims sitting here, as opposed to the Shia, we are Sunni, Orthodox Islam. We follow Orthodox Islam to the best of our abilities. We believe that Iman is statement, action and belief. Qawl wa amal wa i'tiqad. So Iman is not, I can walk with my friend Peter, my friend say La ilaha illallah. And if he says La ilaha illallah, is he a Muslim? Yes or no? Is he a Muslim? Yes. No, he's not a Muslim. I did that a lot with people. No. In my weird understanding of Islam, I used to believe that if I just tell someone to say La ilaha illallah, they're Muslim. So I would walk every day, literally when I was in high school, I would walk with 2 brothers. And I would tell them, say La ilaha illallah, and they would repeat it. I'd say, you're not Muslim. No, it doesn't work like that. Iman is what? Iman is statement, Iman is action, and Iman is belief. So Iman is saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, believing it in your heart. I believe that none is worthy of worship but Allah. Not Jesus, not my idol, not my wife, not my car, not the Imam, not Mufti Ming. No one is worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. He is the guide from Allah to me, He understood this religion the best, and I have to follow him if I want to go get to Jannah. I have to follow his statements, his actions, his approvals. I have to give preference to his words over any other word, his practices over any other practice. That is my way. That is the methodology. I have to follow that methodology. That is that. Number 2, it is action. It is doing so. It is doing so. Number 1, it is belief. It is a statement. It is belief, and it is action. If I say I'm a Muslim but I don't live, I've never made one sajda in my life, can I truly be a Muslim? There's no action. There's no action. So as Sunni Muslims, we believe that Iman is what? It is statement, it is deed, action, and it is belief. Is that clear, inshallah? So he said to the Prophet ﷺ, فَأَخْبِرْنِي أَنِ الْإِيمَانِ. Tell me what is Iman. The Prophet ﷺ said Iman is أَن تُؤْمِنَ بِاللَّهِ, that you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does belief in Allah entail? What does it mean when I say believe in Allah? Number 1, I believe that Allah exists. That there is an Allah. Allah is not some concept in my mind. No, there is an Allah out there that exists in a manner that befits Him. Number 2, I believe in the rububiyyah of Allah, in Allah's lordship. I believe that Allah has created everything out there. The mountains, the heavens, the skies, my parents, myself, my wife, my kids. Allah has created everything. Allah is the sustainer of everything. Allah is the plan of everything. Allah has got power over everything. That is covered in belief in Allah. Number 3, He is uluhiyyah. He deserves to be worshipped alone. If I believe that Allah exists, if I believe that Allah is the creator of everything, who deserves my worship? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wali and the kramat does not deserve my dua. I cannot go to the kramat and make dua to the kramat. I only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 4, I believe in all of Allah's names and His attributes. Allah says in the Quran, He is Ar-Rahman. I believe that Allah is Ar-Rahman. Allah says that He loves those who follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the quality of love. So the Prophet tells this person, what is Iman? It is that you believe in Allah, in His existence, in His lordship, in the fact that you should be worshipped alone, and in His names and attributes. Number 2, وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, and all of His angels. You should believe in all of His angels. Those angels that we know of. We know Malakul Maut, we know Ridwan, we know Malik, we know Munkar and Nakir. What angels are they? The angels that are on your shoulders. What are the names of the angels on your shoulders? No. Generally take time we say Raqib and Atid. Raqib and Atid are not their names. That is the quality of those angels. Raqib, angels that are aware and record what you do. So they are called the Kiram and Katibin, those who record what you do. So all of those angels that Allah mentions in the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ mentions in the Hadith, we believe in them. We believe in their names. We believe in the duties that Allah gave them. The angel of death, the angels in your house, the angels when you go out in the path of Allah, whatever. There are so many. We believe in the duties that Allah gave them. We believe in Jibreel. We believe in Mikael. We believe in Israfil. Who is Israfil? The trumpet blower. Malakul Maut is normally called Israel. There's no angel like Israel. That name is taken from non-authentic sources. There's nothing like it. So we believe in all of the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe in what Allah said about them. Allah speaks about them. Remember, many of us have a Christian concept of how angels look. So it's like a man, it's like a half man, like half human, half angel, half human. That's not how angels look. How does an angel look? Ask me. I don't know. I don't know. We don't know how the angels look. In the Hadith, the Prophet said they are massive. In the Hadith, the Prophet said Jibreel has 600 wings. In the Hadith, Jibreel, the Prophet said that Jibreel, when he sat and he brought the revelation to me, he covered both horizons, the east and the west. Now you can imagine how big they are. They are massive. They are massive. We don't know how they look. Who watched the movie Michael? Anyone of you watched the movie Michael? John Travolta. Where is a half human being, half angel. He's technically Mikael in that movie. He comes down the stairs with a cigarette in his mouth and with 2 wings. That's not what we believe. That's a Christian understanding of the type of the concept of an angel. We believe in the description of what Allah has given. And we don't have lots of details about angels. We only know certain aspects about them. But we believe in this concept of angels. We believe what they do. We believe that Allah created them from nur, from light. And Allah knows best. أن تؤمن بالله, that you believe in Allah. وملائكته وكتبه, We believe in all of the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the scriptures. The Zabur, the book of Dawood. The Injil, the book of Jesus. The Torah, the book of Musa. The Suhuf, the scriptures that Allah gave to Ibrahim and to Musa. We believe in all of the, and the Quran obviously, we believe in all of the books that Allah has sent down. We believe that the Quran is the finality of all books. The Quran came to abrogate all books. The Quran is not only an abrogator and something that came to bring an end to those books, but the Quran is also a muhaymin. The Quran tells me and you what is wrong about those books. Is that clear, inshallah? The Quran tells us this is where they are. So when you read a story in the Bible that says, in the Old Testament, that says that Nabi Nuh made his own daughter pregnant, what do? We reject that. There's certain overlap, yes. There are certain things that are similar, but there are certain things where we take the Quran as the criteria. We take the Quran in all times as the criteria. Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam killed one of his generals in the army to commit zina with a wife. Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, neglected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and made idol worship. All of these things are false. Why? Because the Quran speaks about the Anbiya in great mention, in great status. So we know those stories cannot be true. So the Quran, as Allah states in the Quran, وَمُهَيْمِنٌ عَلَيْهِ. The Quran says the Quran is مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا قَبْلَهُ, a confirmation of that which came before it, but the Quran is also a muhaymin. The Quran teaches me and you what is wrong with the other books. So many of those other books, we can believe certain aspects, but there are certain aspects that we have to reject as well. Is that clear, inshallah? So we believe in all of the scriptures. We believe that it came down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we also believe that those scriptures were corrupted, and the Quran is the unadulterated speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that clear, inshallah? So we believe in Allah, we believe in the angels, we believe in the books, and we believe in all of the messengers of Allah. Allah sent thousands of prophets. You get Anbiya, people that were sent without a law code, without a law, and you get Rusul, messengers, people that brought a new religion, a new deen. I always make this analogy, and if I can make this analogy, it's not a scholarly analogy, my own thing. I always say a Rasul is like a Imam, the main Imam, and the Nabi is like a vice Imam. A Rasul is someone who brought a book from Allah. The Nabi, he was not only a Nabi, Nabi Muhammad was not only a Nabi, he was a Rasul. Nabi Nuh or Nabi Musa was not only a Nabi, he was a Rasul. Nabi, which other Nabi is there? Nabi Dawood was not only a Nabi, okay, he was a Nabi. What is the Nabi Isa was a Nabi and a Rasul, both. He was a Nabi and a Rasul. A Rasul is someone who brought a new Sharia, a new law. A Nabi is someone who came after that person and just commanded the people to enact and follow that law. Is that clear, inshallah? So we believe in all the Anbiya and all the Rusul, all the prophets and all the messengers. You get that difference between the two? Is everyone clear on that? There's a difference here. Obviously there are more Nabis, more prophets than there were Rusul. There are only about few hundred Rusul. Also we believe that among those Rusul, the best of them were Nuh, Musa, Ibrahim, Isa and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are called the Ulul Azm in the Quran. The best of the best. And the best of prophets obviously was who? Was none other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the culmination, the best of all of Allah's messengers to the earth. And this was the sunnah of Allah. The sunnah of Allah was that when people went into misguidance, He would send them a scripture and He would send them a prophet. A man from amongst them, a person from amongst them to call them back to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِأَلَّا يَكُونَ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى اللَّهِ حُجَّةٌ. So that none can come on Yawmul Qiyamah and say, oh Allah, sy het ons daar geskape without guidance. You gave us no guidance. So that no one can have a proof against Allah on Yawmul Qiyamah. Is that clear, inshallah? So we believe in all of these prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَن تُؤْمِنَ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And we believe in the last day. We believe that there will be a day, eventually, where everything that we see in front of us will come to an end. We believe that we will die. We believe that all of us will be resurrected. And all of us will appear in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of us will stand an examination in front of Allah. We will either be successful in that exam or unsuccessful. If you are successful in that exam, you'll go to the Jannah of Allah. If you are unsuccessful, you will go to Jannah. May Allah save us from Jannah. May Allah place us into Jannah. Ameen. without reckoning and without punishment. And everything that happens over there, you will go over the sirat, over the bridge that the Prophet ﷺ told us about. All of these things that will be hanging over Jahannam, and people will be falling into Jahannam. All of these things is included in belief in the last day. We believe in all of those things. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, you should believe in Allah, Malaikati, His angels, Kutubi, His books, Rusuli, His messengers, Wal Yawm al-Akhir, is the last day. And then the Prophet re-emphasized. The Prophet said, وَأَن تُؤْمِنَ, and that you should believe bil-qadr, in the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, khayrihi wa sharrihi, the good thereof and the bad thereof, hulwihi wa murrihi, the sweetness of the decree of Allah and the bitterness thereof. Everything that comes in your life, it is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't attribute evil to Allah. We don't say, Allah gave me that accident. وَالشَّرْ لَا يُنْسَبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالشَّرْ لَيْسَ إِلَيْكَ, as the Prophet said in a dua. The Prophet said, evil is not attributed to Allah. Everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees, there is good in it. How it affects us can either be good or bad. How it comes, the result of it can either be good or bad. That accident that happened, that was in the decree of Allah, for a reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. How it affected me, it's good in that case or bad. But we don't attribute the evil to Allah. And this decree of Allah can be something which is good. It can be something that is bad. It can be something that is sweet, and it can be something that is bitter. If you are going through a divorce, it is something bitter. If you are getting married, it is something sweet. If Allah blesses you with children, it is something good. If Allah causes your house to burn down, it is something bad. But as Muslims, we believe that this is from Allah. And everything that comes from Allah, inevitably there is khayr. There's nothing that has pure evil in it. Everything leads to good. And this hadith, Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, two people came to Abdullah bin Umar. One of the narrators of this hadith was the son of Umar bin al-Khattab, Abdullah bin Umar. Two people came to him and said, we live in a place where people are rejecting qadr. People are rejecting the decree of Allah. They say that everything is unf, everything comes, Allah doesn't know about it when it happens, only when it happens then Allah knows about it. That is kufr. We believe that everything that happens based on the knowledge of Allah. And Allah has decreed that. So these people said, no, Allah only knows about it after it happens. Because if we affirm that Allah decrees everything, that means we don't have free choice, free will. So they rejected this. Then these people came to Umar bin, the son of Umar, Abdullah bin Umar. And Abdullah bin Umar, on hearing this, said, I free myself from those people. Tell them that Abdullah bin Umar, the companion of the Prophet, frees himself from them, and they are free from him. And then he quoted this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَن تُؤْمِنَ. The Prophet told this man that came to him, asking these questions, that you believe in the qadr, the good of it and the bad of it. Not the bad of Allah, the bad of it. The sweetness of it and the bitterness of it. And all of us, our lives are two conditions. It's either a state of good or a state of bad. Whatever comes, it is for our own benefit. And we believe there's only khayr in that. I might go through that divorce, and I might experience that pain of that divorce. But tomorrow I get married to someone else, and that wife that I had gets married to someone else, and both of us are living in peace. That child, Allah has taken away that young baby that experienced no life. It's a bitter moment. But at the end of the day, if I make sabr, that child will intercede for me on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That money that I lost, at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace that money. Allah grants me, better in the end. May Allah grant us understanding. So this hadith, subhanAllah, mentions a very important qaida, a very important principle. And that is the principle of our belief in the qadr, in the decree, that Allah decrees everything. And what does this entail? This entails, we believe as Muslims, that Allah knows everything. Based on that knowing of everything, He has written everything down on the preserved tablet on the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Then He created that thing. And then after He created that thing, you willed it. And that's a bit detailed there. The qadr of Allah. If I say I believe in Allah's qadr, Allah decree Allah, I kof aan Allah. Ons verbring ons altyd uit, it comes from Allah. It means I believe that Allah knew about that. So the salah that I made now, the salah that I made, Allah knew about that I will make that salah. Number two, But the fact that Allah knew about it does not contradict my choice. Allah's knowing about it did not force me to do it. Allah knew. Aashiq will one day pray salah, but eventually I had the choice to do so. So Allah knew my choice. The choice of Allah knowing it does not determine me doing it. Allah knew about it. So if I say I believe in the qadr of Allah, I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. Number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recorded it in His Lawh al-Mahfuz. Number three, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then created that, because Allah says, Allah is the one that created you. Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah created you and all that which you do. So Allah created our salah. And number four, Allah willed it. Allah, His mashi'ah, His desire was there that Aashiq to make salah, and I made that salah. So that is entailed in believing in the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's more detail. Now at another masjid, I was giving this lecture at another masjid on this very hadith, and I spent like 6 weeks explaining this hadith. That's how much we can take from this hadith. So the Prophet ﷺ tells this person that Iman is that you believe in Allah, that you believe in the angels, that you believe in the books, that you believe in the prophets, that you believe in the last day, and that you believe in the qadr, the decree of Allah, good of it, the bad of it, the sweet of it, and the bad of it. And that is the 6 pillars of Iman. That is the 6 pillars of Iman. Now a question will come, what is the difference between Islam and Iman? Is it not so? Is there a difference? When Islam is mentioned on its own, it means everything, beliefs and actions. When Iman is mentioned on its own, it means everything, beliefs and actions. But when they are mentioned together, like in this hadith, the Prophet mentioned Islam and the Prophet mentioned Iman. Then Islam refers to the outer actions. Salah, zakat, hajj, fasting, and Iman refers to the internal actions, belief. Is that clear, inshallah? There's a nice Arabic saying that I don't want to quote now, inshallah. Okay, quote it at another time. Then, this person asked the third question. The person said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِحْسَانِ. So we can already gauge from this hadith the importance of this hadith. This hadith encompasses Islam. That's why the scholars said, this hadith tells us Islam in its entirety. The scholars call this hadith, what is Surah Al-Fatiha called? It's called Ummul Kitab, the mother or the foundation of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha. This hadith is called Sunnah, the mother or the foundation of the Sunnah. It's the main hadith of the entire Sunnah of the Prophet. And there's literally thousands of hadith. This hadith is known as the mother of hadith. Like Cape Town is the mother city. Is it not so? Why? Best city. Better than Johannesburg, better than Durban. Don't quote me on that. You know? So this is the mother of Ahadith, which tells me the importance of this hadith. Some of the scholars said about this hadith, and I have it written down there, but I forgot to mention it. It said, this hadith teaches us all the apparent actions, which you can see, salah, zakat, and stuff like that. And it teaches the hidden actions. Actions of the heart, belief in Allah, belief in the angels, belief in the qadr, belief in the prophets. It explains, some of the scholars said, like Ibn Rajab rahimahullah said, it explains the deen in its entirety. Every aspect of the deen is covered in here. Mention one aspect, it's covered in here. Everything is covered in here. Everything is covered, subhanAllah. The third question was, O Muhammad, tell me what is ihsan. So we know what is Islam. There are 5 pillars of Islam. We know what is faith and belief. There are 6 pillars of belief. Without them, you cannot be a Muslim. Number 3, what is ihsan? The Prophet ﷺ then told him, it is أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. It is to worship, in another narration, to fear Allah as if you can see Allah. To worship Allah to that level as if you can see Allah. Worshipping Allah and being wary, Allah is looking at me. Who worships Allah like that? Worshipping Allah like voor ik wil dink, Allah is watching me. أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. That you worship Allah as if you can see Allah. وَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَى فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. If you cannot see Allah, then be well aware that Allah is seeing you. Allah is seeing you. Isn't that not beautiful? Ihsan, the matters of the heart. And this is something, subhanallah, that's so neglected within our communities. We speak about fiqh and who is salam, surah, imam, surah, and didun. We speak about aqidah and you must believe in this and you believe in that. But how little do we speak about the matters of the heart? Do we know that like of the tongue, there are actions of the tongue? Saying Subhanallah is an action of the tongue. Saying La ilaha illallah is an action of the tongue. Speaking good words are actions of the tongue. There are actions of the limbs. Making salah, hajj, all of these are actions of the limbs. But the heart also has actions. The love of Allah, the fear of Allah, venerating Allah. You know, sometimes we venerate and love people more than we love Allah. You know, Allah says something, opinion. Wallahi, that is a deficiency in our tawheed, in our belief in the oneness of Allah. If we love Allah, then we will obey Allah more than we obey our wives. We will obey Allah more than we obey our daughters. Die dochter wil die doek dra nie, gee maar aan vir die kind. Give in to her. She doesn't want to wear a doekie, gee in for her. But I don't care what Allah loves. It shows where my love is. My love is more for my daughter than what is for Allah. That is an action of the heart. Loving Allah is an action of the heart. How many of us, you know, worry about these things? Actions and love of the heart. My vrou wil die salam maak, is right. Ek gee in vir haar. Los maar die kinders, moenie vir hulle van Fajr wakker maak en laat hulle lekker slaap. I love my kids more than I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Loving Allah, that's an action of the heart. Fearing Allah, I fear that man more than I fear Allah. Hy man gaat so van my sê, ek is bang vir meneer, ek is geworried wat hy gaan sê. I don't love Allah more, I don't fear Allah more than what I fear that man. Fearing Allah, venerating Allah. Ikhlas, sincerity to Allah. My sincerity is more to my Muslim brother in the masjid. Muslim kwai maak ek salah, than what it is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khashya of Allah, the fear of Allah, the awareness of Allah, the taqwa of Allah. That is ihsan. So when the Prophet ﷺ was asked by this person, tell me what is ihsan? The Prophet said it is to worship Allah as if you can see Allah. And if you cannot see Allah, be well aware that Allah sees you. May Allah grant us this quality. So you get Iman, you get Islam, those are the outer actions of the deen. You get Iman, those are the inner actions of the deen, the beliefs, the theology, our aqidah. And then you get ihsan, the spiritual aspects, the matters of the heart, you know, the tasawwuf, the suluk, the tazkiyat of the nafs. These are all aspects contained within ihsan. May Allah grant us tawfiq, hidayah, and barakah. Ameen. This is ihsan. Then this person said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي, tell me, عن الساعة. Tell me about Yawm al-Qiyamah. When will Yawm al-Qiyamah come? When will that last day come? The Prophet ﷺ gives an amazing response. He says, مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِأَعْلَمَ مِنَ السَّائِلِ. The one that you are asking does not know more than the one that is asking. Me, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi wa ala alihi, does not know more than you. Like you do not know, I don't know when Yawm al-Qiyamah is. And unfortunately today, you get people that say that Nabi knew when Yawm al-Qiyamah is. And that's a belief that's contrary to Islam, based on this. The Prophet ﷺ said, as Allah states in the Quran, وَلَوْ, and if I knew what is good, لَاسْتَكْثَرْتُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ, then I would have do more good, and I would have averted evil away from me. The Prophet did not know the unseen. And this hadith is categorical and explicit. The hadith says, the Prophet told this person, I do not know when Yawm al-Qiyamah is. مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِأَعْلَمَ مِنَ السَّائِلِ. I don't know when Yawm al-Qiyamah is. Like you don't know, I don't know. Then this person said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنْ أَمَارَاتِهَا. Okay, you don't know when Yawm al-Qiyamah is? Tell me of the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Tell me of those signs. When it is there, Qiyamah will come. Certain things that will take place that will indicate to me and you that Qiyamah is near. Tell me. The Prophet ﷺ was Jawami'ul Kalim, was a person who would state a few words, but the meanings thereof were copious. The Prophet said one statement, but the ulama wrote books on that one statement. The Prophet would say one word, one statement, and the ulama would write volumes and say, this is what the Prophet meant, and this is what the Prophet meant, and this is what the Prophet meant. The Prophet said, أَن تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا. You will see a slave girl giving birth to her owner. What does that mean? What does that mean? So one understanding of this is that children will be very, very, very disobedient and disrespectful to their parents. Children will be like their parents, and their parents will be like, they will be treated like slaves. Until that amatu rabbata, they will now become the children. Mommy say nie vir my nie. Daddy say mos nie vir my nie. That is the nature of the times that we are living in. From that hadith, this is one meaning of the hadith. That uquq, disobedience and disrespect to parents will be rampant. And is it there? Definitely it is there. Every second khutbah on the Jummah is about respect to parents. Subhanallah. Another meaning is that slavery will be in vogue. There will be lots of slaves. And this was very common in the Umayyad dynasty. After the Prophet died, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali were the leaders of the Muslims. After them, after Al-Hassan, the Umayyads, the Banu Umayyah became the rulers of the Muslims. And many of the mothers of those kings, of those rulers, were slave girls. The Papa was a king, he had relationships with a slave girl, and the son, the prince that was born, his mother was a slave. So the slave gave birth to a owner. The son became a prince, but the mother was a slave. Does everyone understand that? Is that clear? Many of the kings in early Islam, in the Umayyad dynasty and the Abbasid dynasty, many of the kings, their mothers were slaves. Which is, it's not wrong to get married to a slave girl and to have kids with a slave girl. So what happened was, the fathers would be intimate with the slave girl would give birth, that boy would be a king, but the mother would be a slave. So the slave gave birth to her owner. Is that clear, inshallah? Is that clear? And that's proven from a historical perspective as well. This hadith, the fact that these things are rampant today, and it was rampant at that time, proves the veracity and the truthfulness of Rasulullah. We know that the messenger was a messenger of Allah. How do we know that? That his words came true. Disrespect to parents is rampant. It became true. It's there. That shows to me and you that Nabi Muhammad was a Nabi of Allah. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's the greatest dalil. His words, besides the Quran being the greatest dalil, his words is a dalil that he was a Nabi of Allah. This could not be the words of a quack. This could not be the words of a person, an impostor. This was the words of a man that was sent 1400 years ago by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, then the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what we can also take from this hadith is that a slave will give birth to the master. It means matters will be turned around. Everything will be swapped around. We can look at this hadith. It's not normal for a slave to give birth to the master, is it not so? One of the meanings that we can draw from this hadith is that matters will be turned around. It will be totally turned around. Like I always say, I come from East Reach. You know what happens over there? People play football in the road, in the rain, and the cars drive over the pavements. And I think to myself, subhanallah, what a sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah. That is a sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah because the streets were made to drive in, and the people are supposed to walk on the pavements. It's the opposite. Today a man wants to get married to a man, not a man to a female. What a change of affairs. Subhanallah, if we think about it, yes, in yesteryear, the people that we look down upon, like people like Trump, people that were despicable people of society, people that were zani, people who committed zina and ugly, they are the leaders of countries today. Everything is swapped around. You get what I'm saying? So this hadith, a slave girl will give birth to her master, can also mean everything will be swapped around because normally slaves do not give birth to their master. Is that clear? That, and we can go on and on and on this hadith. The second sign that the Prophet mentions to this person is وَأَنْ تَرَى الْحُفَاةَ الْعُرَاةَ الْعَالَةَ رِئَاءَ الشَّاءِ يَتَطَاوَلُونَ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ. And you will see men naked, uncircumcised, and there will be shepherds. They will compete with one another in building massive buildings. What did the Prophet refer to here? You will see people that are bare feet, naked, uncircumcised, poor. They will be not uncircumcised, poor. They will be naked, and they will be shepherds. Naked means close to naked, meaning they will have very little that covers their aura. It doesn't mean they will walk around naked, because since time immemorial people have been covering their aura. So it's not people that will be walking around naked. They will be naked, meaning close to naked. Number 2, they will be bare feet. They will be poor, and they will be shepherds. and they will compete with one another in building massive buildings. When the Sahaba heard that hadith at that time, they could not have understood that hadith. What did the Prophet mean? If you are poor, how do you build a big building? But the Prophet spoke about the future to come. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at all the countries in the Gulf today. Look at Bahrain. Look at Dubai. Look at the Emirates. The biggest building is currently being built in Jeddah. The biggest building currently in the world is being built in Jeddah. You will see people who are naked, very little clothing. People bare feet, no shoes. There will be shepherds of sheep, the Arabs. A few decades ago, they didn't have anything. Before the oil boom, before they discovered oil in the eastern province, they didn't have anything. They lived in the desert in tents. They had nothing going for them. If you look at, just Google old pictures of the Arabs, perhaps in the, maybe before oil discovery, before in the 40s, 30s, you will see how they look. Very different to today's Arabs. Look at how Arabia looked at that time. Very primitive. You will see people half covered, bare feet, shepherds building massive buildings. We see the prophecy of the Prophet playing out. SubhanAllah. We are not saying it's a bad thing. We are just saying it is a sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah, number one. And not all signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah are bad things. And number two, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam qad sadaq. He has spoken the truth. It proves to us the Messenger of Allah was a Messenger of Allah. His words came to light. It came, it saw the light of day. May Allah grant us understanding. Then Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu said, ثُمَّ انطلق. Then this person left. فَلَبِثْتُ. And for a few nights, in certain narrations it says 3 nights, I remained. فَلَبِثْتُ. Maliyan, for a long time. 3 nights I was remaining, I was up and down going about my life. And then the Prophet said, Ya Umar, O Umar, أَتَدْرِ مَنِ السَّائِلِ. Do you know who that person is who asked me those questions? What was the nature of the Sahaba? Not like me and you. I know. No. Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. Allah and His Messenger knows best. I don't know. The Sahaba at times would know certain things, then they would negate their knowledge and say, Allah and the Messenger knows best. Ya Umar, أَتَدْرِ مَنِ السَّائِلِ. Do you know who that person was, O Umar? قُلْتُ Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. Allah and the Messenger knows best. The Prophet then responded, فَإِنَّهُ جِبْرِيلٌ. Indeed, that person that came to you was Jibreel. أَتَاكُمْ يُعَلِّمُكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. He came to you to teach you what? To teach you your deen. He came to you to teach you what? To teach you your deen, subhanAllah. This hadith comes in. This hadith comes in Sahih Muslim, one of the most authentic Muslim hadith. Subhanallah. If we have to ponder about the contents of this hadith, it's just amazing. Everything that we can think of, the entire Islam is encapsulated in this one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why this hadith is called Sunnah, the mother of the Sunnah. And everything that the Prophet, the 5 pillars of Islam, that's 5 different lectures. The 6 pillars of Iman, that's 6 different topics. Ihsan, that's a specific topic. The signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah, minor signs, major signs, what will Qiyamah be like? That's all separate lectures. And that's the amount of info gathered, subhanAllah, in brief, in this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What do we benefit, inshallah? I know the people want to pray the Isha Salah, so I'll quickly wrap it up, inshallah. What do we learn from this hadith? We learn that it is permissible to sometimes ask questions even though you know the answers they are. Why? To teach other people. Jibreel knew everything. Didn't he know all of these things? Yes, he knew. He is the person that brings the wahy from Allah to the messenger. So he knows everything. But he asked those questions in front of the Sahaba so that the Sahaba could take note. And wallahi, I can remember, many years ago I was teaching in my area. There was always a Buddha that would always do this. And I knew he knew the answer. But he would ask me questions so that the other Buddhas in the class would benefit. He would say, now what about this and what about that? He would know the answer, not to test me because I know he's not a person like that. Because I know him on a personal level. And I would say this, and he would say, okay. So that all the other Buddhas could benefit. That's one benefit of this hadith. Number 2, and when I was preparing for this, unfortunately I had to prepare this often, I didn't have time in the week. I literally went through 70 pages of commentary on this hadith. Just zipping through the most important things. Number 2, what do we learn from this hadith? We learn that if we come in the gatherings of ilm and knowledge, we come with our best clothing. Not necessarily new clothes, best clothing. Neat. You know, turban and what. You get what I'm saying? Jibreel, alayhi salatu wasalam, is a student of knowledge. He came with his best attire. He came with his best attire. Hair black, you know, neat. And this is a general rule. Number 3, we learn from this the adab that you learn. You sit in a certain manner. I'm not saying it's wrong to sit with your feet to a scholar, whatever the case. If you need to do so, then do so. But look at the adab. He sat with his knees. He sat next to the Prophet, and he sat in certain narrations. It says he put his hands on his lap. In other narrations, he sat with his hands. He placed it on the lap of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, when he came in, he greeted the Sahaba, which teaches me and you, when we join a gathering, we seek permission to sit down, and we also say Assalamu alaikum to the gathering. And that's what he did. And obviously he came to the front. Obviously you have to judge now. If you are sitting and someone is speaking and you say Assalamu alaikum, and everyone's going to look at you, you're going to break, you just have to judge. We learn from this hadith the humility. He came, he was the person that brought wahi to the Prophet, but look at the humility, and he came to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From this hadith we learn an important point, that if we do not know something, we say we don't know. Allahu a'lam, la adri. Junnatul alim la adri. Your savior in life is what? It is to say la adri. Min al-ilm an taqul la adri idha la ta'lam. From part of knowledge is, half of knowledge is to say I don't know when you don't know. To say I don't know. And that's something that takes a great amount of humility. It takes a great amount of humility, maybe not for a layperson, but a scholar or a student of knowledge to say I don't know. Because we don't want to lower our rank in front of people. So at times people will suck answers out of their thumb. But if you don't know something, you say, I don't know, and you refer someone to a more knowledgeable scholar. We learned that from Umar bin al-Khattab saying to the Prophet, I don't know. Allah knows best. We also learn from this hadith that the angels, they can take the form of human beings. And Jibreel would normally take the form of a companion by the name of Dihya al-Kalbi. He would normally come in that form. When he came to bring wahi to the Prophet, he would come. The Prophet only saw Jibreel on 2 occasions in his true form. He's massive. But when he would come in the form of a companion, a very famous companion that they say looked like Isa bin Maryam, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Isa, Dihya al-Kalbi. But on this occasion, he didn't look like Dihya, because